Now 5:02, call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Peterson. Pavitt. Here. Hamilton.
Here.
Ripley.
Here. Okay. Do we have any public comment tonight? People in the audience? No? All right. All right, do we have an approval of tonight's agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second, Commissioner Patovich, second by Hamilton. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Approval of the utility board, meeting minutes from September 17th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Patovich, second by Peterson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Days? Ayes have it. We'll move on to financial. So we have a consideration to approve bills payable. Is there any discussion, any comments? Anything that needs further clarification on?
I went through everything and everything seems normal to me, but.
Yeah, I didn't have any issues either.
Yep. Okay, motion to approve
Motion to approve.
Second,
and all in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Nay? Ayes have it. So, next item, consideration to approve the non-renewal of the treasury bill and transfer of funds from the said account. So, I understand that, treasury bills come to term and so that money will be returned back to the account. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
second,
Motion and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
aye,
And opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, so discussion and consideration of proposed terms for the renewal of the Verizon cell site lease. So it seems like we've been on a bit of a roller coaster. We were down and up a little and then down a bit, and then now we're gonna walk away, but now I think we suggested last meeting to propose 1,300 and ISG reached out and they countered back with 1,250. And I appreciate ISG's input on this. I mean, they deal in this all the time, so, anybody else have any opinion on this?
No, like you said, the last meeting we said it was having that revenue coming in and that was in our target area.
right, and I don't know how much technology keeps changing,
It does.
so if you lock them in, they even, with the contract, they gotta pay us anyway.
Sure,
So I'm just going with that.
I think there was probably still a couple dollars left on the table, just for the cost it would cost them to build a new tower and
Or
still
to
acquire
tear it
the
down.
land and don't take the old one down. But, you know, how far do we wanna chase this? And if something else does come up, then we do lose that revenue, so. We have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second, and all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? Ayes have it. Okay. Electric department, updates, outages. See, we had that one, Colin's not here tonight, but,
Just the one reported outage, that he submitted at 310 West Pine on the 25th. The outage was about 50 minutes from 12:20 to 1:10, caused by animal contact with 14 customers impacted.
I bet you that animal will not do it again.
I always wonder.
Okay, next item, electric department, consideration to approve the purchase of, PPE for gear at a cost of not to exceed $550. So, I believe he had the jeans he needed. This is more for winter wear and,
Yep, so, I kind of put the summary in that memo for you. We are getting ready to go into negotiations for the collective bargaining agreement. That contains their clothing allowance. we do plan on talking about that and looking at, that hasn't been updated in a long time, but we don't have a policy aside from that for personal protective equipment. But the 450, especially for the FR rated clothing, is not enough to cover what they need. So Colin, the line foreman, put together the graph of what it would take to outfit a new employee coming on and what they would need. And then he also gave some cost estimates and how often that would need to be replaced and how many they would need. So Devin is already through his clothing allowance with the purchases that he's made. But coming into that cold winter season, he does need to do the sweatshirt and the coat. And that is estimated at $240 to $330 for the coat and $150 to $200 for the sweatshirt. So just looking at a not to exceed for that price. And then once we get into negotiations and have that clothing allowance figured out and we put that PPE policy in place, we won't have to go through the approval for each of these purchases after that.
Excellent. Very good. Okay, any other discussion? Do I hear a motion to approve? By Peterson,
Second.
second by Patovich. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And anybody opposed? And motion carries. So let's see. Just moving on down the list here. Moving to the water department. Let's see, we have representation here tonight. Welcome, Keegan. Keegan, and you have some information on water test results. Will you present that or will Nevada?
I can do it. All vaccines for September passed. Fluoride doesn't have an MCL, so the fluoride is the fluoride. Our lead and copper samples, everything was good. We had one above the MCL, but that's not, after you have two above the MCL, then it's a trigger, so we're okay for right now. Actually, we're okay now for this year, for the next 3 years. We did a TKN TOC, which is, there's a thing called a Langley or saturation index, and it kind of just tells you about the hardness of your water. So we did testing on that. I sent those numbers over to ISG. They're gonna kind of do some numbers for us as well, but everything seemed normal. I looked at past saturation indexes and it's pretty on par with what's been in the past. So testing's all good.
Okay, I think there were some queries to City Hall, the last week or two about some chlorine,
Yeah,
smells in the water. Is that something that we can elaborate on or some, who
yeah,
have the
so,
information that anybody?
for the last 2 years, while I was away, they did not switch over to free chlorine. Free chlorine has a purpose. It helps us prevent nitrification within the water distribution system.
Okay,
So we have now gone back to that free chlorine burn that we do in the fall. We usually are on chloramines, which is a prolonged release disinfection, so it's able to reach out into the distribution system for a longer period of time. Chlorine, free chlorine is a much more abrupt disinfection, but it strips away that nitrification of any of that biological growth that's happened within our distribution system. So that free chlorine is gonna cause some taste and odors, but it's perfectly safe. You can cook with it, you can drink it. It's just gonna have some cosmetic.
So that'd be twice a year then that you do all spring.
once a year, okay.
Yep, and right now it's gonna last between 3 and 4 weeks. Cause we use free chlorine until we're done flushing. So there's 18 days of flushing, so if we can hammer through them in 3 weeks, then we can get through it in 3 weeks, but weather and other things come up, so. But generally between 3 and 4 weeks, we should be through that free chlorine.
Okay, so it's an annual bit, and this is aligned with ISG and the recommendations and they're the engineers on this, so excellent, okay. Thanks for the update on
Yeah,
that.
the DNR and the state lab are also aware.
Yes, sure, okay.
We have their backing as well.
Yeah,
So we had brought up too, it might be a good idea and Keegan offered to do something like that, whether he set up a video or put it out there, like we have ISG or Keegan runs it and explains this a bit more. There's a lot of people with their home test. putting comments on the internet, that type of stuff. Yes, obviously it's your odor, we live in town, we do smell it, but just to educate the community, the citizens as well. And if we have somebody in there, like I said, whether he holds something here or he makes a video to put out there for people to watch, to see.
Sure. And maybe, is it possible to maybe do a public announcement next year?
So it does get posted in the paper.
Oh, it does,
It
okay.
includes with the fall flushing, and then kind of after we saw the increase on the Facebook stuff, we did do a Facebook post.
Sure. Yeah,
And
no,
I think regardless, whether it's in the North Scott Press or social media, either 20 people don't get the North Scott Press, they're not on social media, or none of them. There's not a good way to
No,
put this out there, because even if you put a flyer in a bill, who looks at those?
yeah, no, appreciate it, and, okay.
Keegan, because you haven't done it in a couple of years, is it worse now, or is this something that's typical every year? It's gonna be about the same.
So I would say because it hasn't happened in 2 years, people weren't prepared for it.
Okay,
So now that we're going back into it, which part of the update is, I'll get to why it wasn't happening in the 2 years, I don't think. But no, I think in 2 years, people just forgot about it,
okay.
so.
Yep, understood.
And the best course is to direct them to City Hall with questions, as I've received a lot of texts from people. And I've just recommended, I know, made Keegan aware of just the initial posts and things like that, and
Yeah,
to get those
well, if it,
handled and
if
communicated.
it's posted, if you post it on your website, City Hall website, and we get asked, we can just say refer to the City Hall website.
Yep.
And you can find it there, or Facebook, you got posted there, so we have places where we can just tell them where to go.
And Keegan, also provided the, office staff with some verbiage to use when people call in,
Gotcha.
that he had put together, as well as some that ISG suggested as well, so they've got their answers right by them.
And was that receptive by some of the callers?
I mean, it's definitely slowed down.
Yeah.
The first week, we had a higher volume, and then, the Facebook, I think, kind of heightened that a little bit, but it's definitely decreased quite a bit, at least up here.
yeah,
But the information's out there, it's easily obtained, and it's necessary evil, I guess, it's,
Basically just telling people where they can find the information at, so they can do their own little research on it is best.
sure.
their own research has kind of proven
Well,
not great, but
Well, they can compare whatever they find with what's out there with what, you know,
Right.
and if you've got the states, the stuff from the state, you know, we gotta go off of something.
Follow
Right,
that,
So the
follow
state
that.
is doing it. You
Yeah.
compare it to the states. No, this isn't Hank from down the street here or running them through Mud Creek or something, you know, on
Right.
this.
Okay, anything else?
I can do, there's more for me to do in the update, but
Sure.
we can keep moving along.
Okay. So next item for the water department is consideration to approve a quote from Baker Group in the amount of $5,340 for the HVAC system controls integration. So I believe that was part of our packet tonight. Any further discussion on this?
So yeah, Climate Engineers, like we talked about before, Climate Engineers has their own controller where they can go in and control set points. This controller is gonna give us a URL control, so we'll be on a web browser and it'll show us like an actual makeup, kind of like a SCADA for our HVAC system. I did get a new quote from them today,
We got that.
for the 3,940, I think it was.
Yes, that's what's in there.
So, the previous quoted controller was overkill from what the HVAC guy told me. So, everything on there, that $3,900 includes them pulling wire through conduit, and then cleaning and doing some other things within that cabinet, so.
And this is completely separate than the board repairs from the last time for the same unit?
Yeah, so the other one would have been for climate engineers to put aero controller in there.
Okay.
Like a little handheld.
That limits the access of information, so this will give you what you need.
This will give us like direction of flow, we can control fan speed and some other things like that. There's definitely more parameters on this controller. But then climate engineers controller, which they're putting in tomorrow, actually, it's kind of just like a bare bones, get us by kind of controller, so if we lose the web browser, we can still get in there with the zero controller.
Yeah, will this integrate with, some of the, SCADA, upgrades that we're gonna be
So
doing?
we've been talking to JB with Tri-City about getting it integrated into SCADA, and he says it's not even worth our time.
Okay, I just didn't know maybe for alarming purposes or such on the
Yeah, and then
weekends.
I think part of this controller, the web browser will have alarms. So
Okay, so you'll still get them, it just wouldn't be through.
it just won't be part of SCADA.
Yeah, okay.
So then the revised quote that we just received about an hour ago, and then was for 3940,
Yes.
updating that amount that then was retained.
Other discussion on this? There a motion to approve this updated controller?
Yeah, motion to approve the updated 3940.
By Patovich, second. Second by Peterson, in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Okay, and any other department updates?
Yeah, so September 18th, we drained the east tower in preparation for switching to free chlorine. So that we can use power.
Yep,
When it gets warmer like this, we do see a rise in nitrates and nitrates out there, just because there's not a lot of flow of water out there. So in preparation for the free chlorine, we drained that tower, so then we refilled it with free chlorine. That free chlorine would strip that biological growth that was in the tower, which has done its job. So, it's cleaning the system out there, so the tower's now full. Then on the 23rd, when we switched to free chlorine, we found that the line was broken while we were doing the switch. So I'm assuming that the prior 2 years, they didn't do the switch because the chlorine line was broken. So rather than try to find a break, they just kept rolling with chloramines. Because the line was broken in like the very middle of the line, because it's just like a very thin wall air hose pretty much that feeds that chlorine gas into the filter beds. So we fixed it, we just used the electric team actually came up and they had the great idea of using a vacuum and then a fishing tape. We never even thought of it, but they helped us, they just rode the fishing tape through and we were able to pull a new line and get back on the free chlorine. So I think that was the reason why free chlorine wasn't being used, since the line was broken and rather than fix it, they just kept rolling with those rolling.
and this was at the East Tower,
So this would be the treatment.
at the treatment plant, yeah, okay.
So yeah, that was pretty much why we kind of deduced it down to free chlorine never got used because the system was just broken.
Okay, so it was all set up for it in the past, it was.
Yes, but they just, I feel like that they just didn't want to fix it.
Sure.
So moving forward, what safeguards we have in place, like if that were to happen again?
So we always had a spare line and extra parts to be able to do those fixes. It's a matter of wanting to do them. So that chlorine system is actually supposed to be replaced every year. You can get by with 2 or 3 years. I think of some of that stuff, and there's probably going on 4 or 5 years. So this winter, we're actually gonna go in and redo that whole entire chlorine system because it does make that line brittle. So we swap it to prevent leaks and breaks like this one. So that's part of the contingency too, is just doing your typical maintenance.
So it's new for now, but we'll need to see about an annual program or what have you.
Right, so I would say every winter we slow down and switch back to chloramines, we can just start replacing that line.
Okay,
The instrument calibration team was down here on the 25th. They did their whole thing and it seems like everything's working great. They have matched up perfectly with their instruments, which were pretty much brand new, so That was good. LMI raised our conduit, so that desk is ready to go. Henningsen was out and they measured for windows. They said it's about 4 weeks lead time for the windows and the desk. They're just gonna do all that.
Now, the windows, is that 4-week lead time, we're getting kind of close, or colder temperatures, is that,
I don't think it'll affect anything. So the 4 week lead time would have been, they were out here the 3rd week in September to do.
okay,
So
so,
they might be here next week.
oh, okay, excellent,
Hopefully it stays a little warmer for them and they can perform their duties.
yeah, good.
Updates in more time. So I talked to ACO. They are our provider for fluoride caustic. And they do some other things that I'm gonna start looking into. They have seen a drastic increase in systems getting rid of their fluoride. So I know that we've had some discussions about getting rid of it. They said, as soon as we said yes, they would be able to come back and they would take that excess fluoride away. And then we would just do away with that system. So if the board agrees to get rid of the fluoride. The ball rolling there. The other thing is the ACO will do for us. I don't think the filter media has ever been tested, the water plant. So there'd be a couple decades. They're also gonna come down and test our filter media. And then they would also do replacement if it's deemed that the filter media is not doing an adequate job. So I think they're coming down next week to do the filter media. So that would be also a time where if we wanted to get rid of that fluoride system, we could do to get rid of that fluoride.
Now, is this aligned with any recommendations from ISG on that?
So
I know they did a study lately, or in the
Yeah,
past.
and I forgot to give you guys the letter that she sent me. It's not, they didn't recommend to like outright get rid of it, but they did say that not a bad thing to get rid of it. So, I can get you the letter that Julie wrote me. It's just like a short 4 or 5 sentences.
So they didn't really have an opinion, it's saying,
Didn't you say there was like 12 things and 9 of them were not good?
Yeah, it's, I would say of the paragraph that she wrote, I would say 3/4 of that paragraph were how fluoride's not good.
and how does that align with other communities, I guess, I'd like to understand if others are doing the same, along the same path, or.
So the few communities that I have talked to, just our surrounding ones, so Wilton, Tipton, Wolcott, just those few ones. Wilton wanted to get rid of it, but they got such bad backlash from the state that they just decided to keep it and just feed it less. So they only feed like 2 months out of the year as opposed to being year round, but they got the state to stop bugging them.
What is the state's gain for them to keep doing this?
I don't know.
So there's no legislation and that's gonna become, I mean, there's the EPA laws, there's all kinds of stuff that was being released. And it was hard to-
One of the worst things you can.
That's
Yeah,
what I.
And I'm not necessarily in favor of fluoride, but are we gonna face similar backlash from the state?
So that was one of the recommendations of ISG was having like a designated person that would take the brunt of that. So I don't know if that would be somebody from the board or myself, city hall. But I mean, I think it's pretty fine saying that it's a politician.
Be that one. I'll take the fun of it. Was it
So and honestly, I think a lot of it's gonna be them saying they're gonna get rid of
I
it.
think the boy late.
So I don't think it's gonna be like Lori harassing, but. So.
We could do some outreach, put out some educational resources and material ahead of the vote and give plenty of time to
Exactly.
answer questions before you
Right.
put it on as an agenda item.
If you-
I think there's plenty of information out there.
Yeah.
There's quite a bit out there and it's one of the things that, we know different things now than we did 20 years ago.
Right.
Time changes. So it's like, well, what we thought was good 20 years ago may not be good today. So it's.
Based on what you had presented, of course, at the last meeting and some of the readings I've found and research and some others have shared some stuff, like I would lean towards, yes, we need to get rid of it.
just wanna make sure we have all the facts on it,
Yep.
just so we don't
I agree.
put ourselves out there on something that we wish we didn't, do, so.
And the feeding that we do is not even close to what the trigger warnings are. It's like, we have like the result this game is like 0.5 milligrams per liter. And you start seeing like trigger warnings at 4.0. That's when you start getting biting in the teeth and grill buildings and stuff like that, so. Let alone like a chemical that can do that in your water probably shouldn't be fed in your water, but our results are so minimal that. I mean, we're not seeing that anyway.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, other than that, fall flushing is going great. We're moving right along, haven't missed a day yet. The pre-chlorine is doing exactly what we want it to do. Nitrates and nitrites have totally dropped off the scale, so it's cleaning the system. Cohoy can pull well pump or high service number 2. He took high service motor down to Yonda, so it's gonna be about 4 weeks before we hear anything back about the pump, which is unfortunate, but, Yonda will get back to us. The cameras just got completed today for the treatment plant, so it's been moved along pretty quickly.
Okay,
That's all I got.
Thank you, Keegan.
Yeah.
yeah, thank you. Move on to administration. So, this we have consideration to approve Precision Concepts quote for an installation of a security camera and a secure entry system at all the facilities and sites within the community.
So Precision Concepts is the, vendor that did the temporary security camera at the water treatment plant where we went out and got quotes. We did get those quotes back. I provided those in the memo. We received quotes from FinAV, Precision Concepts, and Tri-City. Precision was the lowest quote, and we had a great experience with them. They're confident in their equipment and their services. So we have the full quote of $82,270, and then I've broken that down to what the portion is gonna be for the water and electric. Water is gonna obviously cover all of the water treatment plant. Electric's gonna be paying a portion of the city shop where their offices are, and a quarter of what's up at City Hall. PD would take 50%, city would take 25%, and electric would take 25% for the offices up here. And I can send you that breakdown and how it went for each line item with the invoice, but it came to approximately the $8,658 for water and $9,877 for electric. That's just the installation of the project. Going forward, there would be annual prescription costs. Total for the whole system is about $4,400 each year. That boils down to about $992 for the water department and approximately $682 for the electric department for those cameras and secure entry locks at the facilities that they contribute to.
And this will cover all well pumps that we have, Sheridan Meadows, all the pumps and, I think it's great. It's definitely something that's,
Yes, I think for the water department, it's federally regulated, but
Sure.
it's part of the requirements that they have to have those secure, the security cameras, the secure facilities. And there is a list at the back of that memo that tells, what the cameras are, what locations they're in, and there's a little bit of a map too. I don't know if it's for all the locations, but it's
And
listed out pretty specifically in there, so.
water went online today. They actually added operational cameras on, all the pipes and then all the water beds up top. So the guys can see those on their phones and, from the computer in the office, they can see inside of the beds. So not only security, but also operational aspects of this.
excellent. And the city, council's already approved their portion.
Yes, yep. So, they actually approved with, being able to have funds to cover the whole thing, and then it will go in front of the utility board for them to approve their portion so that we don't get them started without knowing we have full funding, but, the council approved it based on the full funding amount and then just getting the utilities board's approval for their portion. So it is already being installed.
think it's long overdue. Anybody else have any input on that?
I think it's great.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second,
Motion to approve, second, all in favor?
I,
Aye. Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Carries. Okay, discussion and consideration, consideration to approve estimate from 120 Water to assist with the lead copper notification process. So I saw something in the packet on that. It looks like we're more than 50%, so we've come a long ways, but we're not quite there yet.
Correct. I think we're probably farther than that. Some of the 1,444 that are still unknown. There's some duplicates in there that we're verifying that will probably remove at least another 100 or so. And there's some that are private wells, because these addresses are pulled from initially the county assessor site for all of the addresses within our city limits, so that we can get a full list of our inventory. And then we're able to take some out from there. So we're still working through that process, as well as going out and doing, field verifications, that the water treatment staff is taking care of. We do have some different methods that we put out there. We've been calling people. There was a point where we sent out or put out mailers and put it out on the city website. So we're working through, another round of those verification methods right now, but we are gonna have notifications to send out, on October 16th. We'll have 30 days to send all of those out. So 120 Water, they are the agency that we, approved a contract for to help us work through that inventory process. They merge all of our data together and update it every time we give them new information. And then they put it into a template that we can copy and paste right into the DNR's template so we can submit it. So we do have something ready to submit. We will be able to submit that ahead of the October 16th deadline. And then we'll just be able to keep sending it updated, and the DNR will take the most up-to-date one. And then we can just work on that until we have completed all of the inventory. So we definitely have a little bit of work to do yet, but 120 Water can use the templates that the DNR has for these notifications. They can pull all of those unknown addresses and send out a mass mailing for us, which will of course save our very small staff some time.
Yes.
And it's when we look at the cost that it would be to have our staff do that and the postage and the printing and all of that. I don't know that the cost difference would be much different than having 120 Water use their resources to go ahead and take care of that for us and make sure we're in compliance.
Now, I saw for the written notification, and there was also something about a module lost.
Yep, so the communications module is something, as I understand it, we have a platform with 120 Water where we can go in and upload all of our data so that we can continue to update that inventory list, and we can export everything they've updated. So it's for us to use internally. The communications module, I believe, becomes customer facing at that point, so that we can publish those notices out using our 120 Water platform. So how you understood it?
Yeah,
And then,
Yeah.
once we get to the replacement portion, we will also have an option if we want to use it, depending on the size of your city and lead, there's a bunch of different, requirements. You do have to have that information publicly available. So we can, have a platform on our website that people can go in and look at their address or any address within the community and see if there's any lead services. We'll figure out if we need that when we get to that thing.
ours would be by request. Just anything under 15,000 connections is by request. Anything over 15,000 that has to be posted publicly. But all this, yeah, they will be available. They can go to the DNR website to find all this too.
So we may not need or want that service. We can kind of figure out once we get to that point. I'm sure there will be more requirements coming. This will not be the only project that's part of this legislation, but it is the only project we have to do right now. So right now, we're just looking at the notification piece of it so that we can continue to work on verification, which takes a lot of time.
Yes, I agree. And come a long ways, we've just got a little further to go. Okay. So do we have a motion to approve the, notification for 120 water? By Peterson, second by Hamilton, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Okay. Next item. Discussion and consideration to appoint chairperson for the utility board. Any discussion on that?
Yeah, I think you're doing a great job, Mike.
Motion for Mike personally.
You just need to stay right there. Boom.
Practically unanimous.
Yeah, that seems like it.
You say that
I
louder?
got a motion and a second.
Motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Nay. Ayes have it. My first nay vote. I guess I'm overruled. Thanks, everyone, for your vote of confidence. All right. And department update from administration.
So I do have an update from Colin for the electric. The new fiber optic line has been installed at the regulator station on South First Street. Plumbing was completed to get the new line to the communication boxes at that site. The crew has also upgraded over current over voltage protection devices to the capacitor banks on our system. Ask me to interpret that, I was speaking.
You're not gonna give us the
I'll get back to you, I have to do some.
So we're controlling the active and reactive power, and it's helping us, right? Yeah, back, I think. Perfect.
That's exactly what it is. Yep. Yep, exactly.
All right.
And then the only other update I have is, that Lenny with ISG did get an application submitted for that 0% interest loan for the, preliminary engineering report. So when we hear back on that, I will keep you updated. He does plan to come to the next meeting. I know you will not be here. If we want to have him come in November, we can do that, but otherwise he will plan to come in on the 22nd and give an update on the rehab project and where the timeline is for the engineering report.
Good, excellent, thank you.
Thank you, man.
All right, so. Next item, consideration of closed session pursuant to Iowa Code 21.51A to review or discuss records which are required or authorized by state or federal law to be kept confidential, or to be kept confidential as a condition for the government body's possession or continued receipt of federal funds. And I see we have, Allison here tonight. Do we have a motion on the closed session?
Motion.
Motion by Patovich, second by Peterson. Favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Do we need a roll call for that? Roll call,
Yes.
sorry.
Peterson, Pavich,
Here.
Hamilton,
Here.
Presley.
Here. Okay, we will now go into closed session. Thanks, everyone.